I'm about to tell you a story that's going to change how you see money forever. It's about the biggest heist in American history. But here's the twist. You were the target, and most people don't even know it happened. This story involves secret meetings on private islands, the richest families in America, and a plan so brilliant that it's been running successfully for over 110 years. By the time I'm done telling you this story, you'll understand exactly how 97 cents of every dollar you've ever owned simply vanished into thin air. And you'll know exactly who took it. Let me introduce you to the main characters in this story. There's an institution called the Federal Reserve, created in 1913 by some of the wealthiest people in America. They control the money supply, and they claim they exist to protect the economy. Then there's you and every other American who works, saves, and gets paid in dollars. Over 300 million people who've been unknowingly participating in the most sophisticated wealth transfer system ever designed. But to understand how this all works, I need to show you something that happened recently that reveals the entire playbook. Here's where the story gets interesting. Look at what America's biggest banks did from 2017 to 2019. They paid out $340 billion to their wealthy shareholders. Stock buybacks, fat dividends, making rich people even richer during the good times. Then 2020 hit. The pandemic. Crisis mode. What happened next? Those exact same banks suddenly needed $435 billion in emergency support from the Federal Reserve. Let me make sure you caught that. The banks gave $340 billion to their shareholders when times were good, then took $435 billion from the system, ultimately backed by taxpayers, when times got tough. This isn't a coincidence. This is how the game is designed to work. Now, let's look at the pattern because, once you see it, you start noticing it everywhere. Let me show you what I mean. During the 2008 financial crisis, $700 billion flowed to corporations, while 8.8 million Americans lost their jobs. During the 2020 COVID crisis, $2.2 trillion flowed to corporations, while 20.5 million Americans lost their jobs. Do you see what's happening? In every crisis, the money flows upward to corporations and the wealthy, while regular people bear the pain. The rescue money gets bigger, but so does the public suffering. And here's what really shows you whose side the Federal Reserve is on. This next part made me realize just how rigged the system really is. When a crisis hits, watch how fast the Federal Reserve rescues the stock market. 6 months. Stock prices recover. Wealthy people's portfolios are saved. But what about unemployment? How long does it take for regular Americans to get their jobs back? 36 months. 3 full years. Think about that. The Fed can restore Wall Street wealth in half a year, but it takes them 3 years to help working people find jobs again. That tells you everything you need to know about their real priorities. But here's the part of the story that really shocked me. This chart shows where all that money actually went. From 2008 to 2023, while the Federal Reserve was printing trillions of dollars, the top 1% of Americans gained $31.8 trillion in wealth. The bottom 50% of Americans, they gained $1.8 trillion. Let me put this in perspective. For every $18 the Fed created, $17 went to the richest Americans, and $1 went to everyone else. This isn't just inequality. This is systematic wealth redistribution from the many to the few. Now you might be wondering, did this just happen by accident? Did the system somehow evolve this way? The answer is no. This was the plan from the very beginning. Let me take you back to November 1910. 6 men took a secret train to Jekyll Island, Georgia. They represented the Rothschild, Morgan, and Rockefeller banking empires, the most powerful financial families in the world. For 9 days, they met in complete secrecy to design America's central banking system. The press was told it was a hunting trip. What they actually designed was a system where private banks would own the Federal Reserve, profit from money creation, but shift all the risks and losses to the American public. One of them later wrote about their goal: to make sure that when banks failed, the costs would be borne by taxpayers, not bank owners. This wasn't an accident. This was the blueprint. This was a planned heist. And here's how it has played out over 112 years. In 1913, When your great-great-grandparents earned $1, it bought a full dollar's worth of goods and services. Today, that same dollar buys 3 cents worth of stuff. The Federal Reserve has systematically destroyed 97% of the dollar's purchasing power. Every dollar you earn, every dollar you save, 97 cents of its value has been transferred away through the money printing process. This is how the heist works. They create new money, which makes your money worth less. But they give that new money to banks and financial institutions first, before prices go up. By the time that money reaches you, it's already lost most of its purchasing power. What does all this mean for your life? This story isn't just about big numbers and economic theory. It's about your daily life. You know how housing prices seem impossible now? That's the Fed creating money that flows into real estate, driving up prices faster than wages can keep up. You know how college costs have exploded? Same thing. Easy Fed money flowing into education loans, inflating tuition costs. You know how your paycheck doesn't seem to go as far as your parents' paycheck did? That's because the value of your money is being systematically transferred to people who own assets and have first access to newly created money. The struggle you feel isn't in your imagination. The system really is working against all of us regular people. And now you know how. Here's where this story stands today. The Federal Reserve's balance sheet has grown from $800 billion in 2008 to $8.8 trillion today. That's more than 10 times bigger. Every dollar they create dilutes the value of the dollars you own. It's like they're adding water to your milk. You still have the same amount of liquid, but it's worth less. Meanwhile, asset prices, stocks, real estate, anything the wealthy own, keep inflating because that's where the new money goes first. The wealth transfer is accelerating. The gap between those who understand the system and those who don't is getting wider every year. But here's the thing. Once you understand how it works, you can protect yourself. What is the path forward? Exactly what can you do about this? First, understand that holding cash long-term is a losing strategy. The Fed is systematically devaluing it. Consider assets that can be printed: real estate, stocks, gold, silver. Second, share this story. Most people have no idea this is happening to them. The system only works because it's hidden. Third, pay attention to who benefits from Fed policies. Follow the money. Ask yourself, who gets help first when crisis hits? Fourth, learn about money and economics. The more you understand how this system works, the better you can navigate it. This isn't about politics. This isn't about left or right. This is about understanding how money really works in America. The Federal Reserve System was designed by the wealthy, for the wealthy. But once you understand the game, you can start playing it instead of being played by it. The question is, what are you going to do with this knowledge? There will be a second part to this video that takes a deep dive into what we can do to protect our hard-earned money. If this video has helped or informed you, be sure to like and share it. The more people who know the truth, the better. Also, be sure to subscribe to the channel so that you can be notified when part 2 drops.